Hey guys, good morning. Hanumya, Sujal, can you hear my voice?
Yes, Varun.
Okay. Sujal, can you hear my voice? Is it audible?
Yes, Varun.
Okay, perfect. So, good morning, guys. Welcome to our one more session. As part of our yesterday session, if you remember, we were discussing around inventory, manage inventory organization and how to configure item mocks. So, we'll continue from that stage. At the meanwhile, if you see my screen, we'll start today our inventory management. That is a separate module which we'll be covering today. How inventory management happens, how it helps you to like different components which are like locators, sub inventory, and what are the different components which are involved. And we'll finally go to the product information management, where we'll understand, okay, this is a particular item, where it is stored, what is a particular location, what are the different attributes with related to that item. We'll study that. Okay, let's first go to our instance and first cover the points which we had left yesterday. Okay. So guys, if you remember, we were facing that issue now. Our particular the view which we had created were not getting visible. So I checked that the common set which we were populating got corrupted. Actually, someone had run an API which was integrating and was disturbing that common set. Okay, so what we found is that common set was getting corrupted. So that's was the reason that we were unable to see our. So no worries, that common set is still like it has been completely corrupted, so we can use some other view meanwhile to start our configuration and not to be on hold. So let's restart from where we left. So we were discussing about the location, how location is there. We saw a field, that location is a field where we can see, okay, this is a particular location associated with an inventory org. So let's once again go to that screen and discuss more about it. Let's go to organization structure. Let's go to manage inventory org. Let's create an inventory org. Let me give a particular name to this. 0087. This will be my code. Let's select the China view for now, time being. Let's see, France view can also work. That will be also fine. Perfect. Let's select a legal entity, which were defined for the financial person. I have the France legal entity available here. Now let's go line by line once again to reiterate. This is the name of my particular inventory org. Correct. If you see there's a star sign marked beside it, that means it's a mandatory field. It has to be supplied. Unless these fields are which are marked as mandatory are not filled, when you click on next, it will not allow you to go to navigate to different page. That means that the name and organization code has to be supplied by you. Organization code and name both has to be unique. If it is not unique, the system will fire an error. So suppose, let's see, this might be used earlier. You can see if I save the same code which has been used earlier, a record with the value 003 already exists, enter a unique value. That means the system will accept only the unique organization code and your organization name. Organization code and organization name combination. So if a code is already defined, it will not accept it. Reason for having it, just compare to it similar to the EBS for technical person, right? That code helps me and identify what is the API which I need to run for particular inventory, or what are the different components associated, unique identifier. Just consider in that way. So let me just remove this, make it in this way, which is not taken. So code has to be always unique, right? Now this is the business unit which we said dependently according to the business unit, the ledger and the legal entity gets derived. Once again, I'll reiterate, the ledger and the legal entity gets configured by the financial person, but we have seen that, okay, this is a place where we can configure the ledger and the legal entity. Similarly, profit center business unit, this is not much important, but depends upon how the BU's configuration is dependent. So considering in that, this basically happens where we define the legal entity, that if you want this to be an profit center BU, just an initial status which could be there, right? Status is currently active. Whenever you are creating a new, the original status which will be defined it as active. Currently we have not saved this record, so if Garge or Hari tried to query this record, they will not be able to get it until unless I save it. But initially, if you can see this drop down, it starts with active, but you can inactivate a particular inventory org. It minorly happens that inventory org gets deactivated, because generally companies do not prefer it. But sometimes what happens is, which I was giving an example, that companies do prefer to from going inventory org to item org for a particular location. Sorry, from item org to inventory org. What happens is, I'll tell you an example which was happening. So there was a Missouri plant which was going. So they had 3 or 4 nuclear plants, and that they were basically into this hydroelectricity project. So they were consuming the water, generating the electricity, similarly consuming coal, generating the electricity, more into electricity production company, right? So if you remember, just that if you've seen an electricity production industry, they have multiple inventory of, right? Because for them, consuming and going to renewable source of energy is quite tough, right? So they have to consider wind farms, they have to send mine shames. In that way, that becomes really tough for them. So they have multiple inventory organization, right? Consider it in this way, that they wanted from a particular item org to go from an inventory org. This means they have particular small, if they have started with a one particular wind farm, right? Now they find that that is not beneficial from them. The place where they're located, situated, that wind farm is not giving them productivity. And considering that way, that the particular wind farm they located, they started with one wind farm, and after a particular time, the production and the amount which is getting increased day by day. So they increase the farm initiative in that case. So that helps them to go and manage their inventory. But generally, if you see in manufacturing industry, semiconductor industry, hydroelectricity industry, they are much into fixed inventory. It hardly happens. This is one of the experience which I'll say, that we had around 20 inventory org in that case. No, not 20. It was around 10 to 11 inventory org and 150 item orgs. So what they were saying is, out of 115 item orgs, we wanted 15 item orgs to be converted as inventory org. So this type of requirement can come from client, but generalized, I'll say that energy and power utilities companies do not go with that. Sorry, energy and power utilities companies generally do not go with this concept. Only this is the concept which can be used by hydroelectricity company, because from them this is much more of a business requirement. You're getting my point, right? Depending upon the business, it happens, right? Manufacturing industry, it is really hard changes that they will change their one of the item of to an inventory of, because they would have initiated in this way where their inventory of would have been already stabilized, right? To give it a more generalized example, let's consider 6 of us, right? We are 6 of us, 7 of us are running a business, right? What happens is, we divided, okay, this man will just take care of this particular org, this man will take care of this particular org, 7 times, right? We divided in this way, right? We found that me and Hari and Gargi are not happy with the organization. We 3 of us left, right? Now what has happening, it's becoming considered to be a very small organization. Now as a CEO, our CEO is finding very tough to how I can have lost 3 people. Now my 3 people have gone, how I'll manage the corresponding item org basis. So what I found is, let's put a pressure on particular item org and develop it as in a more way, and brought the inventory out of it, right? So I'm investing more money into that, right? And what happens is, I have to be go in the market, continuous changes has to come. I found out that my item out has correspondingly be increased, and the production and the uh, consumption has got increased. So I'm increasing the production out there. So I that moment I can think, okay, this particular item of I want to change it as an inventory of. That's the type of scenario which happens in the market, right? Now coming back to where we were, so this is the status which we see right now, the field as status location. So this is basically the standard location which we gets derived, right? We were saying about how to have that particular location where it gets derived. Whenever you select a location, it automatically derives the address, right? So we are seeing in that screen that when we define a location, we have a particular address 1, address line 2, address line 3, right? Address line 1 is mandatory field. So whenever you define a particular location, automatically the address gets defined here, right? This is related to location. Now, if I click on next, let's see what is the next page coming up. Now here, if you can see the header section, right? This is the financial information related to this, right? The legal entity, what is the ledger information. Now comes the general information, right? The other tabs are not mandatory. Only the general information tab is mandatory here, right? If you see here, we have item master organization, right? Do you want to keep this inventory organization as an master organization? Now we have 7 to 8 organization available, right? Now, if that particular inventory org available, is that particular inventory org a master inventory org? Now, what do you mean by master is, there was an example, let me put it in this way. Okay, AMS, AMI, and we can have UEC, correct? So we were working with particular organization, and they were into manufacturing industry. So AMI, what they call it as automated machinery, Illinois, in that sense. So that was, they were calling it basically their master inventory org. AMS, master service. AMO, Missouri organization. USC was some other org, actually, in that sense. So they have what this is type of requirement which you will see from client as well. This is similar the thing which we will see in EBS as well right now, right? So this, they were calling it there as master inventory, and all this particular there can be only one master inventory, right? You cannot create multiple master inventory because that will create much more confusion for the client. So we generally go with the concept of having only one master inventory org. So here is the concept where you see, where you define the master inventory org basically. So here, if you can see, suppose the Callaway which I am choosing, if you want to define that particular as a master inventory org, I can select that, right? Now this will be my master inventory org, and different types of org can be assigned to it, right? If you see, whenever I give the item master org, the selected one, it automatically defines a grouping behavior and definition organization. So this is getting saved. This is not of our much importance, but the main importance is if you want to set this particular org as a master org, you have to set it. Now the concept is, if you are trying to configure inventory org, you first have to configure the master org. Once you configure the master org, then only you will supply, right? In that case, first define the master org and then correspondingly define the other orgs. So there was one issue which we were facing recently around 5 to 6 months back. What was happening is, by mistake with one of my professional, what he did is, when he was selecting a master org, he selected, we decided to go with suppose, again giving an example, Calway will be the master org. What that guy is, when he was doing configuration, by mistake he chose some other org which he was configuring. Now in the system we had multiple org. So what happened for us is that created a big havoc, because what happens is, whenever you select a master org, automatically Oracle defines a template beside it, and that template is referring a particular items. It defines its own items beside it, that is called as sample items. So remember this point, that whenever you are configuring item master organization, configure it in a very correct way. Until unless if there's a transaction done on that item, it's become a big mess in that case. So what our professional did is, he was configuring this, I asked him to configure item master to configure the inventory organization. By mistake, what he did is, we had only one inventory org, master inventory org. He selected some other here. Now what was happening is, in the system, automatically Oracle, when they started, let me just save this and I'll show you. Okay, this is schedule is also, this I'll also explain meanwhile. But what was happening is, multiple templates got created beside it. So it becomes really difficult for us how to deal with situation. So we found on support, we taken Oracle call as well. So what Oracle come with is, that what you do is, what are the templates created? First deleted. So we had to delete manually around 15 to 16 templates which were created by in the backend, and then we started the process. Once item master organization has been defined, you cannot change it, right? That's the way, right? Because it is a one-time activity for you, right? So just remember, when you are configuring item inventory organization, configure it in a very specific way. Now there's one more thing which you see in my screen, that is schedule. Let me show you where the setup of the schedule is done. Schedule is nothing but a calendar which you want to define, right? Now, coming up to the calendar, what does a calendar means, right? So inventory org, suppose my one inventory org is in Paris, my other inventory org is in India. The calendar and the shifts time which I wanted to configure depends upon me, right? I wanted to be in a Paris time, I wanted to be in an Indian time, depends upon me, right? The configuration of particular schedule is done under manage facility schedule. Guys, please write down this task name also, so that you remember this, that the schedule configuration, that is a calendar configuration, always happen in the manage facility schedules, right? If you click on this, you can create your own calendar. Basically, these are the different types of calendar which have been already created. Particular time zone which want to be in elapsed, what is the effective date, what is the effective date, from date and end date for this particular schedule. Let's create one more. Now here, if you can see, you can give the name. Let's give it as we are following the France one, right? France schedule calendar. Description, I'll write the same thing here. Now what I want is, it should be starting from this week or the next week, depend upon me, right? If I want to start this particular calendar, my organization, right? It's like how I want to take it forward. If I'm working from Sunday to Friday, my work. If generally what starters is Sundays and holiday, so what we do is start it from Monday only. So by default, what Oracle does, it start the first day of the week as Monday only, but depends upon you, right? Now what happens is, sometimes we have multiple calendars, right? Suppose we, to give it a more generalized example, take it in this way, right? That I bid a particular contract of managing a particular road. So I took a contract of 1 year, right? Now I have 10 to 11 workers with me. Consider an example of manufacturing industry in that case, right? Now what our shift timing is, I decided when I was as a supplier, I came to you and I decided to, no, this is my shift timing and I'll be working in this, right? So the particular inventory org which is working started from Sunday, right? Though they were saying that we'll start from 3 days a week, give it a try of starting the week will be for a Sunday. So that depends upon the particular inventory org. If the people in that particular organization are okay with that calendar, then we are fine with it. So it depends upon the person how it would be, right? Calendar can be altered moving forward. If you want to define a new calendar, no, this is not the particular create time schedule which you want to do, you can alter that. But it is really important to define the effective start date and end date to particular calendar, because that once that is done, that calendar becomes effective. And once you have supplied that to a particular master organization or any different inventory organization, that will become effective, right? So this is a place where you define the schedule. Let me save and close this. Sorry, pattern is not entered. Okay, here if you see, this is the workday pattern. Let's give any day. We are working for 5 days a week. Sequence, let it maintain as 1. Save and close.
Is it a collection of shifts?
Come again?
Workday pattern means it is a collection of shifts.
Yeah, correct. You can have multiple shifts in this, depend upon you,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Is it starting from 12 hours, middays? That depends upon you. If you see, I'll show one of this. I think this is for 7.5 hours daily basis. Depends upon the organization. There's also one more concept. If you see, this is length in days and it is 7 hours, 7.5 hours per day, right? Similarly, they have a schedule exception also. This is something which I've not seen much of this, because what does mean by schedule exception is that it's a particular day out of, like, you're working 5 days, right, which is starting from Monday to Friday, right? What happens is at a particular day you want an exception, that in this day I'll allow the workers to go for 3 hours in this case. So you can create an exception out of it. In that case, it will be fine to define in the inventory org. But generally what happens is, what I have with my personal experience, at a particular inventory org, as we are SCM now, generally we do not see that they generally go for 24 hours. Actually, even you see Amazon and everything, na, they provide 24 support. Now with the market so much in advance, 24 support is something which is almost required. What happens is they try to do it in this way. Actually, to give you more example, suppose our IT industry as well also, what happens is, why this big four or big six happens is, no, sorry, big four happens is because they provide a support of 24 hours actually. At till midnight, what happens is, an Indian person gets a support, he gives the support to the client. After that, a US person gives the support, right? So they maintain it in this way. So generally companies do not go with an exception, because exceptioning is something which creates a bad impression. So more importantly, they generally follow a one-time pattern, but you can define that, that's for sure. Actually, depends upon the item inventory. Just give an example in that way, so that helps you to understand, right? So the schedule has been configured. Let's once again go to our inventory org, click on manage inventory org. Yes, this will take little of time, but I want you to understand each and every component out of it, that how the schedule gets set, how, what is mean by master organization, what is the name of here, what is the field, how it is getting populated, what are the mandatory fields. So you know whenever you get the task, but how to maintain that, and how the inventory organization setup is done. So let me once again write the code, because we have not saved it. Let me give the business unit. So folks, I had a chat with everyone. So Hari and other were there. So the one who had joined late, what was happening is, yesterday with the RTM business unit which we got created, the common data set got corrupted. Actually, I checked that. So there was an API running in the backend which impacted the particular common data set. So what we need to do is run a schedule process program and clear that out. So that was the issue which we were unable to get it. The reason based this are not getting impacted because these are associated with different default set. If you remember, we had that default set now, and while configuring the particular business unit, we used common default set, right? That's what the one which was creating the issue. But no worries, I'll run the schedule program. We can clear that out. That will take around 2 hours to get it completed.
Can we have the name of schedule process?
Sure, I'll ping you the name of that. That is one
Okay.
more RTB LTP process. That's the name.
Oh, RTL.
RTL LTP process. I'll ping you the name meanwhile. No worries.
But Varun, how we can able to debug the how you came to the conclusion like that is the one that is causing the issue?
Okay.
Is there any
Mhm.
where it gives the debug or something?
Correct. Yeah, sure. I can show you. Can I just
Okay.
complete this?
Sure.
Let's
Yeah.
complete, then
Yes.
we'll
Yes. Yeah.
go
Yeah.
navigate to that position also. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Sure.
So let's first select this. Once again, I'm defining a Calway. This will be my master org. Schedule is a particular calendar which I wanted to choose. Any calendar which you can choose. Alternate shift, Monday start date. Any calendar which is available, you can choose, which is active currently. Save this. As all the details which are supplied by me are correct. So this will be getting completely saved. Save and close. So my inventory org has been completely created. Let's search it by name. So if you can see, when I search this particular name, Calway, you can search by any parameter which is available here. You can search by code also. Let's search by 0087. Click on enter. Remember, guys, just a screen help. Until unless if you are not able to see any search here, any button, right, just click on enter, right, that will give. And one more tip for you is, if you see here at the screen, this are not anything, if you can see, is mandatory for supplying to do a search, right? You can give a blank search also. So this will try a blank search, give you all the fields with respect to it. Getting my point? Just a tip here. Okay. So whenever you're using this search option in Oracle, until unless if Oracle here, if you can see, it has provided search because there are multiple organizations which have been cut, right? If you go line by line, just type the name, click on enter, it will give you a search, right? So are we clear till this point, guys? Are we clear till manage inventory organization setup? Hari, Gargia, Hanumya, please feel free to answer. Have any questions? No worries.
Yes, sir. Yeah, Varun.
Hari, we are okay from your end?
I believe there would be doubts or questions once we start implementing, doing in the on the environment.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have session also. No worries for that. But just a basic information that, are we clear till what are the setup, what are different components which are involved in this?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Bhaskar, any doubt from your end?
No, Varun, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Sajal, any question from your end?
No, Varun.
Okay, perfect. So the main reason for now we are at a state which we completed manage inventory organization. So we know what are the tasks being performed, what are the steps which need to be taken, right? Bhaskar, just coming up to your question. Let me show you. Under tools, we have schedule process. Schedule process is a place where all the process which are running in background, right? When any process related to this, like running, you can see it actually, right? So what I identified, these are all the process which are running. If a GL configuration is going on, if they are uploading the file, deleting a file, anything, right? This is a background process of Oracle which runs. So suppose there was some program runs for reference for entity, right? This is going for a reference, like if you can see, multiple things are going for this, right? It is in loop, so all the information gets stored. So I was just searching for what are the programs which was running when we were trying the configuration. So what I identified is that there was a program running for that which was affecting the common data set. So that was the main reason. So here it is a place where you can identify to debug a program, that if you're facing an issue started from a base, that one issue can be if you're configuring a view, one can be in the legal entity, second can be there will be some schedule program running, right? This
Yeah.
Oracle Fusion has API, right? So anyone can use that API to a Postman, SOAP UI, REST API, any configuration,
Yeah.
and they can start the platform, right? In that case, actually this is a free environment, and that's why this creates an issue. But moving forward, when you have a dedicated environment, this issue does not come actually more frequently.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So now let's begin our discussion on inventory management overview, right? So guys, this is a really interesting topic. It is something which we are starting, like right now what we have covered is common configuration, like what is business unit, what is legal entity, what is ledger. We understood how the configuration steps are involved while defining a particular business unit. We also understand what is the enterprise structure looks like, what are the different components which are there. And recently we studied about the inventory organization. Now let's get into more minor details. We know, okay, inventory organization, but as the word inventory, the word comes out, where's item, right? Now we are mostly, I'm now dedicating our time how the item configuration is done, right? Remember, this point is, as a SCM people, we have one more team associated with us that we call it as PDS team, that is known as Product Data Hub team, right? Product Data Hub team is the one which configures the item. Generally, if you've seen any of the project, we have defined PDS team as separate team, because inventory management is also together a different and a very vast concept actually. Item property, is it a stocked item, it is a non-stock item, is this item related to sales order management? This is a very vast configuration actually, but I'll show you where the configuration are done, how you configure it, what are the different properties associated. Then we have a concept of item categories also, where you categorize an item. Recently what was happening is we were facing a bigger challenge. The item category was from level 1, starting from level 1 to level 4, right? That was a minor item category which was created by a client. So you have to handle this particular situation moving forward. So we'll study about different component. Reason, just giving a background that whenever word item inventory management come, it is completely related to item, how you do the PDH setup, where are the setup done, and what are the different components involved with it, right? So we'll study about, right now we configured about inventory organization. Now we are getting much deeper into it. What is inventory management, how inventory management is done by Oracle, if I'm creating a order on a particular item, how that item is coming up, how is the list price coming of that item, how is that quantity getting revised, that quantity, if that particular price associated with an item is there, where that price is getting stored. So we'll study about this, all of this component. Okay, just give me a minute, guys. Okay, so as part of our today's session, we'll first understand what is the inventory management. Let's give it an overview, what is happening in the market, what happens when, I'll give you a practical example of the live projects where we started inventory management, and we're now currently how much exploration we have done, when what are the different API. I'll tell you what are the tasks also, similar to tasks which you show for business unit, what are the tasks involved when you configure inventory management. And we also study the concept of sub inventory and locators. Now, coming up to sub inventory, as word, you know, it's a sub part of particular inventory, right? And similarly, we'll understand what is locator, how locator is getting configured, different types of component, right? So it's a very interesting topic. Inventory management is really, really interesting. And once you have a, I'll give you a frank tip also here, that once you have a knowledge of inventory management, even if that's an overview knowledge, right, you know where the item is configured, where you know where the unit price is there, what are different attributes are there, sales management and your procurement becomes much easier. Procurement has to do nothing much with the PDH actually, right? It is nothing much that you an SCM person should know much of the item configuration, right? But as a person, as a complete SCM functional consultant and SCM technical consultant, you had to have a knowledge how items are getting set up, right? So we'll study this in complete broad way. How, what are the different components? I'll show you. There are so many fields on item, is that what does the field mean, what is that is there, how planning goes for that particular item in that way, right? So this is a really, really interesting topic. Once inventory management, the base is much clear, right? How the PTS team setups is, once we have the base clear, sales order and purchase order creation becomes much easier in that case, right? Now, next, after this inventory management, we'll study about procurement, where we are starting the purchase order creation, starting from requisition, creating an agreement, creating a purchase order. This will be the next topic which will be coming after. But this will take around 2 to 3 lectures. I'll say 2 lecture minimum. There we'll study about inventory management. I'll show you the screen that where the inventory management, how the item getting set up. Once this is much clear, then the PDH, sorry, the procurement, that is the purchase order creation, starting from agreement becomes much easier, right? Procurement is also a very vast topic that will take minimum 5 days, because this is starting from agreement, coming to requisition, then coming to purchase order. But that will be the main agenda. So now we have completed the common setups, which means that can be used everywhere. Now the main agenda, we are mostly now going into SCM side, that inventory management, procurement, uh, well, coming up to manufacturing, we'll see the sourcing and SQM are really, really interesting topics, guys. They are more important. I'll not say procurement is not important, sorry, that is not much interesting, but that is also very interesting, procurement. But procurement is something which you have seen in EBS also. Sourcing you would have not seen much in EBS. SQM would be a very new topic actually. So just giving a background, what SQM does is, it's a qualification management which helps you to qualify a particular supplier, that if you want that supplier to deal with the business with you, not. So that is also really a very good topic. So let's jump into it and start with inventory management. So what does inventory management does? It helps you to start from miniature level of counting the stocks, lets you to manage your warehouse activities. Now, why do I need to manage an inventory? Giving a very simple example, you have seen DMart, right? If you have visited DMart, you would have seen many of the people who are not the workers there, but through a management side, have papers counting the stock, what was the amount, what was the details. Okay, this was the uh, thing which has been bought. Why it is important for them? Because they need to track each and every particular item on this. Each and tracking of each and every item is a very tedious task. Earlier it was doing on papers, but with the market and which everything which is getting stored and more, now system have been there. You have setups. If you see normal shops also, they have a particular application where they scan the barcode, they process the information, he can tell you the price, right? Even in the medical shops right now, they have system, they search for a particular medicine, they say, oh, we have it or we do not have it. Earlier what was happening is they had to see, okay, let me search for it. It took huge amount of time for that particular person to search a particular medicine, right? So inventory management starts with miniature level. I generally say it to be a word that it starts from item management. Basically, how you manage a particular item, starting from what are the different capabilities of that items is really important. Now, why inventory management setup becomes really important for you, right? So just consider an example of mobile, right? If you're buying a mobile, it would have a barcode assigned with you, right? That track is there with the company as well, that okay, this particular item has been sold. So even they are uh, tracking that particular item from them from a barcode perspective, correct? Similar happens with me from manufacturing industry, semiconductor industry, they need to track the item. And inventory management setup becomes really important. If you're changing a price of a particular item in an inventory management, this will have huge impact, right? So generally, to avoid that, what Oracle did it, that when if on a particular item a purchase order or sales order is already in progress, it does not allow you to make any changes. It gives you an error that particular item cannot be changed because there's an ongoing transaction already happening on that. Reason Oracle had to do is because multiple people, if try to change the particular price of that particular item at any instance, it will create an issue and it will be really tough for you, right? So what Oracle does, it solidifies the field or will hard code that field that you cannot change it. I'll not say what has hard coded, but will not allow you to change that field, right? So inventory management is completely managing a particular item, how that particular item is managed, what is the issuing, is it a stocked item, it is a non-stocked item, is it a descriptive based item, different capabilities. I'll take a hold here, guys. Anyone has any question, any doubt, please feel free.
Yeah, but Varun, we can have a
Mhm.
item revisions, right? There will be a ECOs that will be releasing, and that
Mhm.
cycle will be keep on going, right? And the
It depends
purchase
on,
orders will be
correct,
continuing, right?
correct.
So I don't need to hold
Mhm.
the purchase orders because there is a issue that is coming over, right?
No, no,
When we are doing a manufacturing,
Mhm.
the ECO will keep on happening at the background.
You're talking about the EBS.
Yeah, EBS,
Mhm.
the process will be the same, right? Like
No, but
I'm
changes in the
I,
Oracle actually.
I
Oracle
am
changes.
I'm releasing a product.
Mhm.
So do I need to wait until all the purchase orders are cleared
Yes,
for that?
yes, yes. Releasing an order is different. I'm telling you about the item configuration here. If you're trying
Yeah,
to
like a revision, right?
Mhm.
I may have a new item revision, right?
Correct, but that will only be applicable once that a purchase order has been created or been approved completely or has been processed completely. The transaction has to be completed. At the middle of transaction, you cannot edit anything in Oracle. I'll show you that also,
Okay.
because Oracle does not allow that flexibility. I got your point from EBS. OIC, that happens in EBS, but Oracle does not allow. Fusion does not allow that. You can create a
Yeah.
revision of that item, but when you're suppose you're creating a purchase order, right? You created a purchase order on I1 item, right? I
Yeah.
come and after I created a revision out of it, right?
Yeah.
What will happen is the fields which can be changed, that will it allows, right? Suppose it allows some of the fields to be changed at that particular time, that will allow, that will create a revision and I can stay can start with it. But some of the fields will not be allowed to be changed by Oracle. That will be completely fixed. Once you have completed a transaction, then only I can do. So suppose because item goes to the miniature level, right? Accounting will happen, everything will happen in that way. Getting my point, right? Revision definitely you can create, but revision creation here Oracle does not allow for all the fields. I'll show you that also. There's a
Yeah.
change in concept in Fusion actually, and why and how it is helping that also I show. I'll tell you. The process which are used for revision creation in EBS is completely changed here actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other question, guys?
Yeah, just to follow up on what Bhaskar was asking. So
Mm-hmm.
in case there's a price change in between, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a order that is getting processed,
Mm-hmm.
so you're saying unless that order is the first order gets completed,
Mm-hmm.
the system will not allow for the price change.
Yep. The transaction has to get completed.
Okay.
You will allow, you get to allow to save the price, but that transaction is already in progress, right? So that price not be reflected on that particular order.
But we
Suppose
can still do it, right? In the sense like we don't have to.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get it. So you are saying like that order needs to be completed or at least
Correct.
processed
Exactly.
before
Exactly.
you change.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Because that will
Yeah.
create a complete havoc, right? Suppose I ordered a particular item. Now I'm seeing the price is getting increased by me. Someone has increased the price. Now, when I'm order is coming to a stage where it is an orchestration process or it is getting shipped, I see the price getting changed. That will be incorrect, right?
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Correct. Any other question, guys? Okay, let's move forward. So under manufacturing supply chain material management,